Now, after we completed clearing most of the northeast, we really realized that we have two survivalists here who can camp one more night. Doesn't have to be in a building that will give us a blueprint, but they can camp near the explorable ruin, which is unreachable except with heroic returns. So we decided to send them to camp one more night near the explorable ruin for two more ruin runs, hoping for more blueprints. But other than that, it's just this section which needed to be checked for architect chests and sealed architect chests and cleared if there are few spreads of Zeds we have missed in the last 3 days. So we decided also to make those routes. This red and blue one are for the only two survivalists who camped there. The first one had to first move some of the weapons so the other survivalists can have some ammunition to kill with. And all four survivalists who camped here, of course the technician had to heroic return after making imprints, and then the timer had to bring the keys and then heroic return as well. The four survivalists who stayed here had the job to complete the clearing after all heroic returns have used all the Mauer ammos we had with quick fix and repair kits to kill as many as possible. Of course, there is something I have to mention. Each route you draw for the first person to clear must be made in a smart way that the weapon will end up in a section where the second person can pick it up if it's broken, repair it, and then carry on. What does that help us? This helps us because if the person who is going to clear, if it's not a timer or he's using a mower or a chainsaw, which are both heavy weapons and cannot be sent with the timer without drugging the dog, we do not want this person as a, for example, guardian or shaman or even residents with BIA Hero Day to heroic return just to bring back the weapon. We want them to keep auto-searching to increase the possibility for finding more rare stuff. And to do that, we make it so that their routes where they clear will end up exactly at the spot where the second person will just come there, pick it up, and keep clearing. And of course, the last person will drop, I believe it was here or here, will drop the weapon as Mauer, I believe it was, or ammunition to this survivalist who was camping here, so it can bring it to the survivalist group so they can help clear this rest of the section. And they cleared some of it, not completely. Oh, this survivalist joined to camp this building. So the next day he can start clearing this section near the zoo. And those survivalists have camped a lot. Of course, it was a sacrifice, so we can deplete the ruin without wasting many heroic returns or having to let anyone not survivalist camp with anything but I think anything less than 100% survival chance. So, of course, here was some complications, and the survivalist ran out of ammo to clear this small section of the map. So it was left here, and the next day we took care of it. And of course, the survivalists made a good job here. They picked up the work from the last day. Always make sure to assume that the Z you will leave here will spread in any of all 8 zones around it in this section. Actually, this 4 Zs in the middle, in the center, can spread to all other 8 zones around them. So the next day you have to check them all. Of course, there is a small special case. If you kill 2 Zs, one dies from grief. We know that. So if you kill in a zone more than, let's say, 4 Zs, and you expect a spread overnight to that particular zone, which have, if it had 1 Z, it will die from grief. So there's a rule that Zs first spread, then die from grief or attrition. So let's say there is a Z who spread from this zone, which had 4 Zs in it, to the next zone south of it, which had 5 deaths, 5 Zs killed in it. So this Z who will spread there will first spread, which is a problem, but then the problem will be immediately solved because that Z will die from attrition next. So considering all these possibilities, if you want to play safe, considering this is your first attempt to make a zoo, don't rely on Zs to die from grief in just this particular example. But in general, always kill to 0 no matter what, to be 100% sure there won't be any Zs to ruin all the hard work you have done so far. So then the next day, after all, few survivalists camp here and here, and those also decided to survive as well for another day to explore the ruin. The next day, as usual, we start thinking about all architect chests and sealed architect chests we haven't found yet, because we have to find all 7 of them, 5 and 2. So the survivalists who camped here, 2 of them, one of them will go open this section of the map for souls, architect chest, and to check for possible threads we may have forgotten or missed, but that's not possible. And Blue Root did also the same and went to camp in this section. I believe both of them camped in here. And of course here we started sending those survivalists who finished mapping the ruin to clear some of the Zs on their way back to Heroic Return to go home, because most of them have camped up to 4 times and the 5th one is best to be left for endgame. Of course, this section wasn't finished yet. Some of the clearing happened here, and one of them was with a Heroic Return, and with some other Heroic Returns, almost the complete southeast have been cleared. And the few survivalists who are still alive had to do this last work, clearing the last few zones with Zs in them. Everything have been camped. Of course, as you can see, these 2 buildings, we totally ignored them. These are the easiest to camp. We totally ignored them because we don't first need them, because they are inside, I believe, 9 km range, and those buildings give only uncommon blueprints, and uncommon blueprints aren't actually that important compared to rare blueprints. So we have to camp first the rare, because we want to open rare blueprints as fast as possible to get food projects and water projects. But about uncommon blueprints, only Butcher or Garter are very, very important probably grey boom, or yes, grey boom is one of the important ones, but it's unlikely to get veggie plot in the first 5 days. So, and as you can see, through entire the clearing process, we did not kill one single Z inside the entire west section of the map because we needed their numbers to grow, so we will not risk causing a global respawn, and at the same time to concentrate using our entire resources and weapons and ammunition in making the zoo by clearing the eastern side first. And that was done well from the looks of the map. So we killed three birds with one stone, mapping the ruin, depleting it, killing all Zeds, completing the zoo, and at the same time camp and find all architect chests that can be found in the eastern section. The rest was just simple. We have two sections of the map. Both of them are very close to the town. Here it's 13 action point strip and here 11 action point strip. So we can actually choose where do we want our zoo, northwest or southwest. Later on we decided to have it southwest because those two buildings we had inside the zoo, I believe they were not bunker and anything interesting, and here we had a nuclear bunker, and for end game strategy we do want the nuclear bunker, which is the best campsite you can get in the game, clear of zombies and easy to camp. And we started clearing at this point. It's a funny story. I realized that we killed also too much, and with some calculations there was a fear that we could cause global respawn, but as it turns out from later on, because we didn't have the enough experience to actually predict zombie numbers by then, and we knew we have to kill Zeds inside this and these two buildings, so at some point when we kill too much we will finally face global response. So we stopped at the middle of the clearing and left this section uncleared. And of course the next day came and we started finishing this section we left because we feared of a global respawn, and this section also haven't covered the last building we didn't find at first, and we started clearing with simple routes. Heroic returns weren't needed at first, just to trim, make sure nothing will go to the eastern side. And at the end of the day, we left one camper to camp in here, so the next day he can clear here without having to waste many heroic return trips. And of course the next day it's very easy. You have a section that's very close to town compared to the other sections, corners, and you send heroic returns with possibly all our weapons we have, because there are no other survivalists camping and needing weapons. So we started clearing. We also decided not to cause a global respawn or risk it, so we left this small section and waiting for this zoo section to grow more, spread more inside it, and then the next day we finished the job and killed all Zeds inside. And with it we have completely built one of the closest zombie zoos to a town that you can have.